Growing up, my mom always made the best ice cream. You know, the ones that's made in the old hand crank ice cream maker. It was always super creamy and rich and absolutely delicious. And today I'm going to share with you how to make that custard style ice cream. I am separating the egg whites from the egg yolks. For this recipe, you only need the egg yolk. The egg yolk is going to give it a super rich flavor and also a nice golden color. As you can see, I am pretty much moving the egg yolks from one half of the shell to the other half of the shell, allowing the egg white to drop into the container. You can save the egg whites to make an omelette, or you can even freeze it. To the egg yolks, I'm adding sugar and a pinch of salt. I always use Himalayan pink salt, that's why it's this color. Now I'm going to whisk this together until the egg yolks become pale in color, and it will also be thick and silky. It's funny how food is linked to memories, and I always have very fond memories growing up of certain things that we made together or certain meals that I've had, and this is one of my favorites. Leave me a comment and let me know what's your favorite childhood memory that's linked to food. Next, I'm adding heavy cream and milk, and I'm using whole milk, and I'm adding that to a pot, and the full recipe will be linked below in the description box, so you'll have all of the measurements if you're interested in making this recipe. I'm going to place the milk on my stove, and I'm going to heat it on the lowest setting because you do not want this to boil. You just want it to basically steam. I am also using custard powder in the recipe, and this is going to enhance the color as well as the texture. Now this can be found online or in your local grocery store in the international section. Once tiny bubbles start to appear around the perimeter of the milk, then it's time to remove it from the heat. Next, we're going to temper the eggs. And what we want to do is gradually raise the temperature of the eggs, and this prevents the eggs from scrambling. If we were to add the eggs straight to the boiling hot liquid, it would cook immediately. So I am doing this by adding a little at a time and whisking it vigorously, and this gradually raises the temperature of the eggs. And essentially by doing this, you are cooking the eggs to a temperature that's safe to be consumed. Now, I chose to put this back on the stove on low for just a few minutes, but you can absolutely stop at this point and just allow it to cool and then place into the refrigerator before making the ice cream. I am also adding some of the milk to the custard powder, and I'm going to give this a good whisk. Then I'm going to add this little custard powder mixture along with the eggs back into the pot and just mix everything together. And don't worry about any lumps that may form because the custard will be strained. And I'm going to put this back on the fire for just a few minutes on low. You do not want this to boil because it will curdle. I'm going to remove this from the heat and add vanilla and almond extract. And as I'm doing this video, that's when I realized I was almost out of vanilla extract. I'm adding just a few drops of almond extract. Almond extract is very potent and can easily overpower a dish. Now I'm going to pass this mixture through a strainer to remove any lumps or clumps or anything that might be in the custard. We want this to be nice and smooth and creamy. And the lumps in the mixture might be from parts of the egg. For example, if there's white in this mixture, it will solidify. Also from the custard powder. This mixture needs to cool completely before being placed into the fridge, and it needs to be in the fridge for at least 4 hours because you want it to be nice and cold. Now once the mixture is nice and cold, it's time to place it into your ice cream maker, and I am using a Cuisinart ice cream maker. I will link the one that I have below in the description box. Now this ice cream maker doesn't use the ice, instead it has a chilled bowl which I keep in my freezer, so anytime I'm ready to make ice cream it's already nice and cold. And this doesn't take long at all. It pretty much went from this to this in about 20 minutes. Once the ice cream becomes thick and looks like this, it's time to remove it and place it into a freezer safe container. Placing it into the freezer allows it to harden. If you try to eat this right away, it will melt almost immediately. I know this recipe requires a lot of patience, but I promise you it's totally worth the wait. Look at how creamy it is already, and trust me, I want to dig into it at this point, but I won't. I'm going to place it into, this is just a loaf baking pan, and I'm just going to spread it out so it's nice and even on the surface. Cover it tightly with plastic wrap and then place it into my freezer for about 4 hours. Now once it's done freezing, let it sit for about a minute or two, and then scoop a nice scoop of some of the best ice cream you will ever have. Thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe and leave me a comment below, and I will see you guys next time.